Oh man, this is a little bit disappointing. So earlier today, I loaded the plugin up and it was perfectly fine, still under the trial, but I just loaded it up and yeah, my trial has expired. I thought that the trial lasted 30 days and in fact, that's not the case at all. So I was going to do a shootout in this video, but that's not going to happen now. I'm just going to do a quick review in the beginning, and then I'm going to play some audio from another plugin that I found, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay, so here's the review. First of all, from a graphic user interface standpoint, this is pretty much as good as it gets for a hardware emulation. That's what the hardware looks like. It's laid out well, in my opinion. And we also have additional features that the original hardware doesn't have, but adds to the versatility. Sound quality wise, it's good, if not great. Now, unfortunately, I've never used the real Fairchild 670, which is what this plugin is based on. So I can't tell you whether it sounds correct or not. What I can tell you is that I did a little bit of research and found out that a brand new Fairchild 670 is meant to sound like this. If you remember from my very first video about the Ultramarine, I was surprised by how transparent and clean the compressor sounded. Well, as it turns out, that's actually how it's supposed to sound. Older ones that have older tubes and older transistors, older ICs, all this stuff will sound dull. So if it's out of spec, it won't sound like it should. If it's in spec, it'll have kind of a brightness to it, but not harshness. And when it compresses, it sounds like the sound is coming forward and not being pushed back like a lot of compressors do. That's one reason a lot of people like the Fairchild. However, all that being said, I'm going to click down here now and show you guys this plugin, which is the Overtone FC70. I've never talked about this company before. In fact, they are often overlooked, and I'm sorry I did that because as I was doing my research about different Fairchild plugins, people were saying this is the best one, beating out the Waves, beating out IK Multimedia. It simply sounds good, and it is quite affordable. That being said, it has two problems. One, there's no calibration. The Ultramarine, there's a calibration. You know your signal's good there. IK Multimedia, the same thing. You put your signal right around the 0 meter point. You know, you dial it in. I can't do it now, but you know, you have it on your in, then you dial up your input gain. It works. Not so here. Another thing missing from this plugin, no output gain, no makeup gain. What? That is in the original hardware. I didn't realize how much of a workflow killer that would be, but I used this plugin and I had to keep using, you know, this output trim on a separate plugin, and you know, that just kills your workflow. Is it a deal breaker? Not really, but it is annoying. So, with that being said, what do I think about Ultramarine3? Would I buy it? No. Not at its current price, and not when you have alternative Acustica audio plugins available that I'm still going to try out, namely the Aquamarine, because that plugin is cheaper and it has 2 compressors built into it. It's unfortunate, but hey, I'm sure there's other people out there who dropping $300 on a plugin is not that big of a deal. And okay, you get a nice Fairchild 670 sound in software. And if that's what you're looking for, you'll get that. In fact, earlier I talked about these additional controls, the sidechain filter, the SH mod, which by the way, If you're going for the most authentic Fairchild 670 tone, it's straight up the middle, leave the setting there, and it's as authentic as possible. The other thing that I did not talk about in the other video is this mix knob. Now, in Reaper, you have a mix knob, so any plugin can be blended in together, but a lot of people have DAWs where you can't do that. And this mix knob allows you to do parallel compression inside of the plugin, which is a very cool feature. So, again, I personally will not be buying this plugin, but I would recommend it if you're looking for an authentic Fairchild 670 compressor, and that's based on what I heard with other Acustica audio plugins. Now, I can't guarantee that this is exactly what it sounds like. However, based on a video where a guy plays around with a Fairchild 670, it sounds legit. It does sound quite good. However, the only thing that really bothers me, besides the price, is the fact that when I did run audio through this compressor, the meters were showing that there was a lot of unevenness still. Even when I was compressing it with a lot of gain reduction, I mean like down to like -20, there was still a lot of the meter showing dynamics where normally I would think that would flatten it out. And that turned out not to be the case. I mean, this compressor is known as having a very fast attack time, but for some reason, it was still poking through. I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's authentic behavior. What I do know is this. The FC70, and this is why this video is disappointing, I dialed in settings that closely matched the sound of the Ultramarine as long as I had the SH mod off, as long as I had the sidechain filter off, and the mix knob at 100%. As long as all that was the same, I was able to get close results with this plugin, which shouldn't really be that surprising considering all the praise that I read about this. However, it's interesting because this plugin is a lot cheaper than the Ultramarine. And that's how I base my decisions. Cost-benefit analysis. That's what pretty much everybody does, right? I mean, unless you're a millionaire and, buying something, it's like, who cares, right? But every purchase matters to me, and I was able to get a close result with this plugin compared to this. But the importance of those additional controls can't be understated. I think that this is the selling point of the plugin. The SH mod, the sidechain filter, the mix knob, these are all the big selling points besides the sound quality. Because yeah, I can get a close sound with this plugin, but it doesn't have an output knob. It doesn't tell me exactly where I should have my signal going. That stuff bothers me. And there was one other thing about this that I really didn't like, and I can't remember right now, but it wasn't a $250 difference. But like I said, out of these two plugins, this is definitely the better one. Not only from a GUI standpoint and a sound quality standpoint, but functionality. So it's hard to say, because if this plugin were $300, I would absolutely say get this. But the huge price difference is why I'm saying I'm not going to go with the Ultramarine. Not that I'm going to buy this plugin, but if I ever wanted a different Fairchild type of sound compared to the one that I do own already, the IK Multimedia Vintage Compressor 670, then I would definitely consider buying this despite the output knob problem. All right, with that being said, I'm going to play some audio through this FC70 plugin, even though the original intention of this was to show a shootout between these two, but that's not possible anymore, unfortunately, because of that. Boo, boo, boo. First up, acoustic guitar. All right. Now drums, just the overheads for now. That reminds me, on the Ultramarine 3, this was the biggest difference between the Acustica audio version and the Overtone version is the way the release sounds. The release sounds a lot more like a hardware compressor, in my opinion, than this plugin does. So I'd really noticed it with the heavy compression. I didn't get it from this plugin, and that leads me to believe that the Ultramarine is more authentic than this plugin. But again, I don't think that is a $250 difference. Oh, I should say that this plugin, because it's in trial mode, does fade out periodically. So if that happens, that's the reason why. You hear how it's like a very clean release, like the sucking after the snare hits? That's not the case with the Ultramarine. That it had a lot more of a push to it, and like I said, it just sounded a lot more like a hardware compressor to my ears. All right, next up, I don't know if I had it on the kick. No, I didn't. Okay, so I'll move on to the vocals.
Time's a time to flutter form. You used it up and beg for more. When it runs out, you gnash your teeth. In a world that plays for keeps.
Now, what I will do, because I did make shootout files earlier with the other videos, I will run audio through this plugin and make wave files out of it so that you can hear, even though it's not exactly the same settings, you can at least hear this plugin with the same material compared to the Ultramarine 3 on the other video. I think that's the best I can do shootout wise. All right, and I'm going to put them all together now. It faded out. How quickly a mix can go with one plugin. Okay, yeah, one of the plugins definitely went out. I could hear it leaving on the acoustic guitar. Okay, so again, guys, I'm sorry. I will also play bass for you, only in the files. There's no point in really doing it in this video, but oh man, it's such a disappointment that I had the plugins ready to go. I should have did it as soon as I could, but I just procrastinated. Sorry about that. Again, Ultramarine 3 is decent. I don't think it's perfect, and the price is just killing me. If it were $200 or $150 or $175, somewhere in that ballpark, I would have no problem recommending it. But when you have a plugin like this available, it's very hard to say yes. If you compare the Ultramarine 3, definitely compare it to this plugin for yourself on your own material, and then make your purchase decision based on that. This has been Adam for RealHomeRecording.com.